recently tying the death of Brittany Murphy to Diddy.
There are rumors that they're about to reopen the investigation into Brittany Murphy's and the connections aren't just between her and Diddy. They're with her husband too. We all know Brittany had a relationship with Diddy because he was best friends with Ashton. And Ashton dated Brittany for a long time. So it's safe for us to assume that Brittany probably saw some things.
In a shocking turn of events, Brittany Murphy's case just might about to be reopened. Get this, allegedly, Ashton Kutcher is rumored to be ready to turn on Diddy and expose his part in unaliving of Brittany. Ashton is ready to give evidence proving Diddy was the mastermind in everything and how he even got Kim Porter unalived in the same way. You guys better brace yourselves because this story is messy.
Rumors circulating for years that her husband had dirt on Diddy. He was a screenwriter, producer, director, so he was very much in the industry. And we all know that in 2009, Brittany Murphy died in her house of pneumonia. 5 months later, her husband died of pneumonia in the same house. Didn't someone else die from pneumonia? Brittany's mom has been screaming foul play for years.
All right, let's talk about one of the most chilling and mysterious stories to ever come out of Hollywood, the tragic death of Brittany Murphy. She was the quirky, lovable star we all adored in Clueless, 8 Mile, and Just Married. Brittany had that rare sparkle, that real it girl energy.
Okay, for now, focus here for a minute. Don't worry, their drama will keep going on. Think a little about yourself too. An Indonesian scientist has uncovered a shocking truth about belly fat, and it has nothing to do with diet or exercise. 95% of people who tried this strange bedtime ritual lost 25 pounds or more. Some even dropped over 50, all while sleeping. No gym, no starving, just one simple step before bed. It sounds crazy, but it's backed by science. Tap the link in the description and see for yourself.
And yet behind the scenes, her life was spiraling in ways that most people had no idea about. So let's break this down because once you start digging into the details, this whole thing feels way darker than anyone originally thought. Brittany was just 32 when she suddenly died on December 20th, 2009. It was early that morning around 8 a.m. when the LA Fire Department responded to a 911 call at the Hollywood Hills home she shared with her husband, Simon Monjack. What they walked into was already tragic. Brittany was found collapsed on the bathroom floor. Paramedics tried to revive her right there, but it was too late. She was rushed to Cedars-Sinai, went into cardiac arrest, and was pronounced dead just 2 hours later at 10 a.m. Now here's where things start to get really sketchy. The autopsy, the coroner's office ruled her death accidental, with the main cause being pneumonia, and secondary factors including severe anemia and multiple drug intoxication. But get this, the LA County coroner's spokesperson, Craig Harvey, refused to say exactly what substances were found in her system. Like, sorry, what? You're calling it accidental but won't tell us what drugs were involved? Fans and experts immediately started asking questions. Why did such a young, seemingly healthy actress die so suddenly from pneumonia and anemia? Why was she in that state to begin with? And why wasn't her death treated as suspicious from the jump? Because honestly, once you start connecting the dots between her mysterious health decline, the shady people in her life, and the complete lack of transparency from officials, this whole thing starts to look a lot less like an accident and a lot more like a cover-up. And trust me, this is just the beginning because what happened after Brittany's death makes everything even darker. However, Brittany's husband Simon claimed that Brittany didn't take anything that would put her life in danger. Simone told People magazine she was on herbal remedies that wouldn't speed up her heart. There was nothing here that could endanger her. There was prescription medication in the house for her female time and some cough syrup. That was it. Brittany's mother, Sharon, also claimed that Brittany didn't use any illegal substance or even drink alcohol, and she initially suspected that her daughter passed from an undiagnosed heart condition. And here's where it gets weirder. So Brittany had been complaining for weeks about feeling sick, and she even allegedly mentioned feeling like she was being poisoned. And Brittany's mom, Sharon, later admitted Brittany was paranoid that someone might be out to harm her. And get this, Daily Mail obtained photos from Brittany's CCTV camera network that she personally had installed in her house. She even had fingerprint recognition locking systems, and all signs point to Brittany being in fear of her life in the weeks leading up to her death. And then the story took another turn when reports surfaced that the Hollywood Hills house where Brittany died had mold issues. That's when Brittany's husband and her mom spoke out again and said they believed toxic mold was a factor in Brittany's passing. However, when investigators asked for mold testing after Brittany's death, both Simon and Sharon refused. So why would they do that if they really thought mold was killing her? There's just no logical reason to refuse an inspection, especially if mold was a known problem in the house. On top of that, pathologist Dr. Richard Shepard dismissed the mold theory and said that Brittany's autopsy report showed no signs of mold exposure. Dr. Shepard said the autopsy report shows they didn't find any fungi, either in her bloodstream or in the sections of lung that they examined under the microscope. So mold and fungi haven't played a direct role in the death of Brittany. But let's go back to Brittany's fear of being poisoned. That's a major red flag because she must have had a valid reason to suspect that. So in her final months, Brittany's behavior changed and her friends said she became paranoid, especially about her health. According to some sources, Brittany felt like someone might be poisoning her, and she reportedly started avoiding food and drink from certain sources. She also felt like she was being monitored or watched, and she apparently told her closest friends that some powerful people in Hollywood were out to get her. And now, let's get to Brittany's husband, Simon Monjack. Their relationship was controversial for several reasons. Not only was Simon much older than Brittany, but they actually met when she was just 17. On top of that, Simon had a pretty sleazy reputation. He'd been accused of fraud, and there were other rumors about his shady past and his behavior around women. And apparently, Brittany's friends couldn't stand Simon, and they believed he was taking advantage of her. But here's where things get really creepy. Just 5 months after Brittany's death, Simon died in the exact same way. And guess what the cause was? That's right, the same one as Brittany's: pneumonia and severe anemia. Let's think about this. What are the odds that a healthy couple in their 30s and 40s would both die of pneumonia and anemia within months of each other in the same house? And if that mold theory was dismissed due to lack of evidence, then there must have been something else that contributed to Brittany and Simon's deaths. Fast forward a few years, and Brittany's dad, Angelo Bertolotti, wasn't buying the official story. He actually had a private lab test his daughter's hair samples, and boom, the results were wild. The lab found high levels of heavy metals in her system, way beyond what's considered normal. We're talking about substances found in rat poison and insecticides. Let that sink in. So, how did this not come up in the original autopsy? Well, apparently, unless poisoning is suspected, they don't test for these kinds of toxins. But here's the kicker. Brittany had reportedly told people she thought she was being poisoned. And still nothing? Then there's the mold theory, which Sharon Murphy, Brittany's mom, initially pushed. But the minute Simon died, Sharon pulled back completely. She refused to let the authorities test the house for mold and sold the place immediately. Suspicious much?
Diddy's being accused of some pretty dark stuff, and it's not random gossip anymore. There's actually a trial going on. Is it possible these two are just casualties of Diddy's? Or is this all just a conspiracy that people made up? All I know is that dots are getting connected, and it's not going Diddy's way. At least that's what they're telling me.
And speaking of Sharon, her role in this whole thing has always been a bit murky. She was living in the same house with Brittany and Simon, and after Brittany died, people started noticing how oddly close Sharon and Simon were acting. There were rumors, whispers, the kind that make you raise your eyebrows and go, wait, what? But what's truly strange is that Sharon never pushed for a deeper investigation into her daughter's death. Like your famous daughter dies under super questionable circumstances and you don't demand answers? Instead, she stayed silent while fans and conspiracy theorists tried to piece things together themselves. Now, here's where it gets really wild, and yes, Diddy's name comes up again. There's a growing theory floating around that Brittany Murphy knew too much.
I was around Ashton Kutcher and Diddy before, and they were speaking about Brittany Murphy. And I don't think I ever told this story, and I'm about to tell this story here. While he was married to Demi Moore, he was still sneaking around seeing Brittany Murphy. You understand? We were going to Nets game, so we picked him up, and he was explaining to Diddy that every time he goes to Brittany's house, paparazzi always catches him or almost catch him coming out her apartment or coming out the building. Diddy was telling him that's either the doorman or your security, you know what I'm saying? And he was still married to Demi Moore at the time. So you could have something, you could be right. Because it's crazy how they said her and Kim and some other individual with them or around them all died of pneumonia and they were in perfect health.
Yep, too much about what was really going down behind the scenes in Hollywood. She was reportedly blacklisted after refusing to play the game. And when people say the game, they're not talking about movie roles or auditions. They're talking about some seriously dark, messed up stuff. Stuff like Diddy's infamous freak-offs. And if you're wondering how Brittany Murphy would have even ended up in those circles, well, here's your connection. Ashton Kutcher. Brittany dated Ashton after they starred together in Just Married in 2002. There were even engagement rumors, but suddenly, boom, they split. And Ashton immediately went public with Demi Moore, who, by the way, also had ties to Diddy's party scene. Rumor has it that Brittany may have stumbled upon something she wasn't supposed to see or hear, disturbing things involving very young males at those exclusive parties. And get this, there are claims that anonymous sources have come forward to the feds with evidence that Brittany found out about Diddy and Ashton's alleged involvement in all of this. It's giving full-blown cover-up. Now let's talk Kim Porter for a second, Diddy's late ex. She passed away suddenly in 2018, and guess what? She was also reportedly working on a tell-all book. Medium Sloan Bella went viral for claiming Kim found out about these rituals involving young people and energy harvesting. Yeah, you heard that right, energy harvesting. Sloan says Kim was planning to expose it all and then she died. So now people are connecting the dots. Brittany and Kim, both young, both are connected to powerful men. Both allegedly knew too much, and both died suddenly, with strange toxicology results and suspicious silence from the people closest to them. At the end of the day, there's still no official proof, but there are a whole lot of unanswered questions, bizarre coincidences, and people in Hollywood who seem way too eager to brush it all under the rug. So the question remains, did Brittany Murphy die from natural causes, or did she get too close to something someone didn't want exposed?